Slack join messages are a reminder that internal notifications need to become searchable content, not just noise. A tiny Slack join message points to a bigger content problem. Internal notifications become valuable when teams can retrieve them later. A Slack welcome note looks harmless. Someone enters a channel, the room gives a small ping, and everyone keeps moving. 3 days later. A pricing change, a returns exception, or a fulfillment rule is buried in the scroll and may as well never have happened. That's the daily problem e-commerce teams face. Ownership shifts in a thread. A support workaround gets approved in a DM. A merch update or shipping deadline gets settled in passing. Then the person who needs that context next week has to ask around and piece the story together. From fragments. When that happens, the company loses memory. A new ops lead inherits the process without knowing why it exists. A support manager sees the final instruction but misses the exception that caused it. Without realizing the policy behind the wording changed 2 days earlier, a content editor updates a page. That's how small gaps become expensive habits. Internal notifications should be treated as source material for durable content. They shape customer experience and warehouse behavior, so they deserve more than a passing glance in chat. The practical part matters. You need a workflow that captures the right message, turns it into a usable record, and makes it easy to find later when someone asks why a product ships differently, why a return rule changed, or who owns the fix. What internal notifications actually are in an e-commerce team. Internal notifications are work messages that create action, context, or accountability. Internal notifications are messages that move work inside the company. They cover handoffs, approvals, exception handling, policy changes, ownership updates, plus small alerts that tell one person or one team that something needs attention before the customer feels it. The useful ones create a decision or an obligation, or they produce a customer-facing effect. A note that a damaged item policy changed for fragile goods matters because support needs the script and fulfillment. Needs the rule. A reply saying a size chart needs correction matters because shoppers will see the error on the page. Pure chatter is different. A quick "got it" or a friendly check-in might keep a team moving. But it doesn't change the work. The messages that matter are the ones that change who does what, when they do it, or how the store presents itself to shoppers. These messages show up everywhere. You'll find them in chat, task comments, inboxes, and loose threads started because someone needed an answer fast and didn't want to wait for a formal doc. Each place is fragile as a record because the message can be buried, edited, split across replies, or lost when the next project takes over. That's why people searching for this term usually want a clear operational definition rather than software jargon. In plain terms, they are the alerts that keep e-commerce work aligned when a change affects stock handling or customer service. The same logic applies to alerting notifications more broadly. A signal is only useful if it leads to action, and the action needs context. If a warehouse exception or a merchandising change matters enough to notify someone, it matters enough to save in a form that another person can find later. Why chat history fails as a system of record. Chat is fast for discussion but weak for long-term retrieval. Chat threads move fast, so they're poor at preserving decisions. A single update gets buried under replies and unrelated questions about the next launch. And the original meaning gets harder to recover when someone needs it. That creates familiar failure modes. The context is missing. Ownership stays fuzzy. Duplicate work starts because two people assume the other one handled it. And the company repeats the same question in a new channel because nobody trusts the old thread anymore. For e-commerce operations, that gets expensive fast. A small shift in how back orders are handled can change fulfillment decisions within hours. And returns rules can change support replies by lunchtime. A merch note about excluded variants can affect collection pages, ad copy, and site search before the day is over. This problem is well symbolized by a Slack join message because it shows how casual the environment feels. Everyone ignores a small notice. And the same system also carries the only trace of a change that later affects customer refunds or the wording on a product detail page. Important updates can look trivial in the moment because they arrive in the same stream as routine noise. And the stream keeps moving, whether the message was a greeting or a change in how a best-selling SKU ships. Once that happens, retrieval turns into archaeology. Someone searches by memory, scrolls too far, asks the channel again, or rebuilds the decision from a screenshot and a half-remembered note. But it takes longer and carries more risk than a searchable record would. The updates worth saving are the ones that change behavior. Save the updates that change what someone does next. A useful filter is simple. If a message changes what someone does next, it deserves to become content. If the note only signals that something happened, it can stay in the chat stream. If it changes how returns are approved, how product data gets entered, or how shipping gets promised, people need a place to find it later. That line sounds obvious until you watch a lean e-commerce team drown in pings. One person drops a return exception for a damaged box. Another posts a revised product data rule for variant titles. A manager changes the approval path for wholesale discounts. Each one alters daily work. And each one can spare the team from answering the same question repeatedly. The goal is selective memory. Save the instructions that stop stale guidance from spreading and leave the rest alone. A shipping cutoff update that changes same-day dispatch should be captured because it affects what support tells shoppers and what operations promises to the warehouse. A customer service policy shift around late deliveries belongs in a durable place for the same reason. This filter keeps small teams sane. You do not need a record of every reaction emoji or every got it reply. You need a record of the moments that shape behavior, because those are the moments that create repeat questions when they disappear. A good test is this. If a new hire followed the old instruction tomorrow, would they make a mistake? If the answer is yes, save the update. If the answer is no, let the ping fade. Turn one message into 4 durable assets. One useful notification can support several durable content formats. One internal notification can serve more than one purpose if you break it into the right formats. A handoff note helps the next person act quickly, while an SOP update gives the team the current process. A changelog entry records what changed and when it changed. A searchable knowledge base page gives future hires a place to find the rule without chasing a thread. Each format needs a different amount of detail. The handoff note should be short and immediate, so a support lead can read it before the next shift starts. The SOP update should be clear enough for an ops rep to follow without guessing. A changelog entry should name the decision and the reason. The knowledge base page should be the most findable version, written for someone with no context. Here's the clean conversion path. Start with the chat message, remove the side comments. Then write a plain language summary. Turn the summary into a decision record and then into step-by-step instructions. You are separating useful information from extra comments, which is what internal notifications need once they leave the room where they were first posted. Take a damaged in-transit claims change in an e-commerce store. The original message says support can approve claims under a certain value if the shopper sends 2 photos and the order number. The handoff note tells the support queue what to do today. This SOP update gives the exact claim flow for the team that processes tickets. The changelog entry records that claims under that threshold now route through support instead of finance. The knowledge base page explains the policy in customer-friendly language and links to the claim form. Notice how each asset serves a different reader. Support needs speed, while operations needs consistency. Future hires need a stable reference. A manager who copies the thread word for word ends up with a messy archive. A manager who rewrites the update creates a system people can actually use. This is also where internal links matter for answer engine optimization. A Shopify store with a clear link from the relevant policy page to the damaged item claim guide gives staff and search systems a clean path through the update. Instead of burying the rule in a chat log, The same idea works inside any store knowledge base, because links tell people where the current answer lives. A simple workflow for capturing updates before they disappear. A lightweight capture workflow keeps important decisions out of the scroll. A light workflow beats a heavy one. Spot the message, assign an owner, and publish it where the team can find it later. This process takes minutes when the update is small and still works when the change affects fulfillment or support or merchandising. Lean teams need a fast triage rule. If the message changes a policy, a customer promise, a product data rule, or a handoff between teams, it gets captured. If it only confirms that someone saw the note, it stays in chat. That keeps the process focused on the updates that create future work. The workflow should live in one obvious place, usually the same internal hub where the rest of the team already looks for process notes. One person owns the edit, while the rest of the team can flag updates that need to be saved. Old entries should be reviewed regularly, broken links removed, and anything that no longer matches current practice retired. Searchability is the real test. Use plain names that match how people speak, like damaged item claims or shipping cutoff. Put the decision in the title or first line. Then add tags or folders only after the page is readable on its own. If someone asks, "Where's the current rule for late delivery refunds?" they should land on the right page in one search. That's the practical fix for internal notification overload. Capture the updates that change behavior, name them clearly, and keep them easy to retrieve. Chat can keep moving while the knowledge stays accessible. How this helps SEO, site structure, and answer engines. Searchable operational knowledge creates stronger paths for people and answer engines. Internal notifications become search fuel when they're written like records instead of scraps. Search engines reward pages that state things clearly, use stable headings, and maintain consistent structure. And keep related ideas grouped in a way that makes sense to both crawlers and people skimming on. A phone. That matters for e-commerce because the same questions keep coming up in different places. A warehouse note about a delayed size run, a support reply about stretch, and a merchandising update about a new fit guide all point to the same shopper concern. And they should live in the same topic space. This is where internal linking starts doing real work. If your team's notes are organized around topics like shipping, sizing, returns, and product care, you can connect them to the pages that need that context, such as collection pages, help articles, and product detail pages. A Shopify store that links a "Does this jacket run small?" answer to the size chart, and the product page gives search engines and shoppers a clearer path. Answer engines behave the same way. They pull from pages that use plain language, keep terms consistent. To learn more, visit heysprite.com today.